Detective Marcus Chen had worked in private investigation for 17 years. He'd tracked down embezzlers, caught cheating spouses, and uncovered corporate fraud. He'd seen every kind of lie, every variation of deception. He thought nothing could surprise him anymore. Then Odette Royce called. She'd sent him a single photo. A young woman in an emerald green dress at a fundraiser. Beautiful, confident, standing next to Odette's son with the kind of calculated smile that set off every alarm bell Marcus had developed over nearly 2 decades of work. Odette's instructions had been simple. Find out everything. Who she is, where she came from, what she wants, and do it quietly. Alonso couldn't know his mother was investigating the woman he was falling in love with. Marcus started with the basics. Maria Faith Accardi, 28 years old. No significant digital footprint before 3 months ago. Then suddenly, an Instagram account with 67,000 followers. Posts from expensive restaurants, luxury hotels, political events. All in Washington, D.C. No employment history in D.C., no apartment lease, no credit card charges before arriving in the city.
When someone appears out of nowhere with money they shouldn't have and a life that doesn't add up, there are only 3 explanations: trust fund, sugar daddy, or theft.
Marcus checked trust funds first. Nothing. He checked for wealthy benefactors. Nothing obvious. So he started looking backwards. Phone records, bank transactions, property records, and that's when he found it. A property sale in Miami. 3 months ago. 1 apartment, $315,000. Sold by Maria Faith Accardi. But the purchase records showed a different name as the original owner. Rachel Maria Accardi.
Mother and daughter. Co-owners on the deed. Daughter sells without telling mother. Daughter takes the money and disappears to D.C. Mother files a missing persons report 2 weeks later, then withdraws it.
Marcus printed everything. The property records, the bank transfers. Maria's Instagram posts time-stamped against the sale date. He put it all in a folder and picked up his phone to call Odette Royce. Then he paused. Something about this felt off. Not the theft. That was clear. But the way Maria was moving through D.C., the fundraiser attendance, the connection to Alonso. This wasn't just a girl spending stolen money. This was someone with a plan. Someone working for someone else. Marcus had one more thing to check. Who Maria had been photographed with besides Alonso. Who she'd been seen talking to at that fundraiser before Alonso arrived. He pulled the event photos, ran facial recognition, and found him. Caesar Vidal, lobbyist, fixer, the kind of man who made problems disappear and opportunities appear, always for a price.
There it is.
Everyone has something to hide, everyone has something to lose, and in this story, someone won't make it out alive. Anything goes. When a dynasty falls, everyone gets crushed. Maria woke up to 3 text messages. The first was from Alonso, sent at 6:30 in the morning. Good morning. I can't stop thinking about last night. The gallery opening is at 7. I'll pick you up at 6:30. Can't wait to see you. The second was from Caesar, sent 5 minutes later. Tonight is crucial. Odette will be at the gallery. She'll try to intimidate you. Don't let her. Stay close to Alonso. Make her see that you're not going anywhere. Report back after. The third message had no name attached. Just a Miami area code Maria recognized immediately. Her mother. Maria stared at the notification for 10 seconds without opening it. Her thumb hovered over the delete button. She'd been deleting Rachel's messages for weeks without reading them. It was easier that way. Easier to pretend her mother didn't exist. Easier to move forward without looking back. But something about this morning, about the vulnerability in Alonso's text and the coldness in Caesar's, made her hesitate. She opened it. "Maria, I know you're in DC. I saw your Instagram. I saw the photo with the man. I don't know what you're doing or why, but I need you to know something. That man's mother is dangerous. I looked her up. Odette Royce. She destroys people who threaten her family. Please be careful. Even if you hate me, I still love you. I'm still your mother. Mom." Maria read the message twice. Then she deleted it and threw her phone on the bed. She stood in the motel room in her underwear, staring at herself in the mirror, and felt something she'd been successfully avoiding for weeks. Fear. Not fear of Odette. Fear that her mother might be right. Fear that she'd walked into something bigger than Caesar had prepared her for. Fear that she was being used the same way she was using Alonso. She pushed it down. She got in the shower. She washed away the doubt the same way she washed away the guilt. By the time she stepped out, wrapped in a thin motel towel, she was back in control. Tonight wasn't about fear. Tonight was about performance. And Maria Faith Accardi had gotten very good at performing. Across town, Rachel sat at Ivan's kitchen table, staring at her phone. She'd sent the text to Maria 20 minutes ago. The message showed as delivered but not read. Or maybe Maria had read it and chosen not to respond. Rachel didn't know which was worse.
"Did you send it?"
Yes.
"And?"
Nothing. She won't respond. She never does.
"You did what you could. You warned her. What she does with that information is her choice."
What if something happens to her, Ivan? What if Odette Royce is as dangerous as she looks and Maria gets hurt?
Then that's a consequence Maria chose when she decided to target Odette's son. You can't protect her from her own decisions, Rachel. Not anymore.
Rachel knew Ivan was right, but knowing didn't make it easier. She'd spent the last 3 days obsessively checking Maria's Instagram. Every new post felt like a knife. Maria at a yoga studio. Maria at brunch. Maria shopping in Georgetown. All of it funded by money that should have kept Rachel safe for years. And now Maria was dating a billionaire. Getting deeper into a world Rachel couldn't touch. Meeting people Rachel would never meet. Building a life on a foundation of theft and lies.
I keep thinking about when she was little. 5, maybe 6 years old. She wanted to be a veterinarian because she loved animals. She cried when she found a dead bird in the yard. I had to help her bury it, and we made a little cross out of popsicle sticks. What happened to that girl? When did she become someone who could do this and not feel anything?
Maybe she feels more than you think. Maybe that's why she's not responding to your messages, because if she lets herself feel it, she can't keep going.
Ivan was trying to be kind, but Rachel knew better. She'd seen Maria's Instagram captions. The confidence, the lack of remorse, the careful curation of a life that celebrated everything Rachel had lost. Maria wasn't avoiding her messages because of guilt. She was avoiding them because Rachel was irrelevant now. A problem from a past Maria was determined to forget.
I'm going to work. Marcus opens early on Saturdays.
Rachel, it's your day off.
I need to stay busy. If I sit here thinking about her, I'll go crazy.
Ivan sat in the kitchen after Rachel left, thinking about the case he couldn't build. Legally, Maria had done nothing wrong. Her name was on the deed. She had every right to sell. The fact that it was morally bankrupt didn't matter to the law. But Ivan had spent years in the prosecutor's office. He knew how people like Maria operated. They found legal ways to do unethical things. They exploited loopholes. They justified cruelty with technicalities. And they always, eventually, went too far. Ivan picked up his phone and did something he knew he probably shouldn't. He searched for Odette Royce, read about her company, her reputation, her history of crushing competitors and threats with equal efficiency. Then he searched for Alonso Royce, found old interviews, photos, a story about a gallery he'd tried to open 5 years ago that closed after 6 months. Even found himself wondering what Alonso was like, if he was kind, if he deserved what was about to happen to him, if Maria would destroy him the way she'd destroyed Rachel, or if Alonso's money would be enough to cushion the blow. Then Ivan closed his browser and made himself stop. This wasn't his case. These weren't his people. He'd done what he could by giving Rachel a place to stay. Getting involved beyond that would only cause more pain. But late at night, Ivan Merrick couldn't shake the feeling that he was watching a disaster unfold in slow motion, and no one was doing anything to stop it. At 3 p.m, Maria sat in a Georgetown salon having her hair styled. Caesar had sent her a company card with a note. "Look perfect tonight. Odette will be analyzing every detail." The stylist, a rail-thin woman named Claire, with platinum blonde hair and French-tipped nails, worked on Maria's hair with the precision of a surgeon.
So what's the special occasion? Date night?
Gallery opening, art thing.
Oh, fancy. First time going to one?
First time in DC.
Well, you're going to look stunning. This color, this cut, with the right dress. You'll turn every head in the room.
Maria looked at her reflection. Claire was right. Her hair was perfect. Her skin glowed from the facial she'd gotten that morning. Her nails were immaculate. She looked like she belonged in the world she was infiltrating. But underneath the surface, under the hair and makeup and performance, she felt hollow, like she'd scooped out everything that made her human and replaced it with ambition and calculation.
Perfect.
The gallery was small, intimate, 20 pieces from an emerging artist named Chen, who specialized in abstract portraits. The kind of art that wealthy people bought not because they understood it, but because owning it signaled they were cultured. About 40 guests circulated through the space, art collectors, gallery owners, a few minor celebrities, and Odette Royce standing in the corner with a glass of white wine, watching the entrance like a hawk. Alonso and Maria arrived at 7:15. Maria wore a black dress this time. Simple, elegant. Caesar had told her to dress down, not up. Don't compete with Odette visually. Look understated, classy. Make her see you're not trying too hard.
There she is, the artist. Come on, I'll introduce you.
They spent the first 20 minutes meeting Chen, discussing her work, listening to Alonso talk about composition and negative space with genuine passion. For those 20 minutes, Maria almost forgot this was a job. Almost let herself enjoy watching Alonso come alive, talking about something he loved. Then she felt it. The weight of a stare. Maria turned and saw Odette Royce watching them from across the room. Not watching Alonso, watching her. The look was cold, analytical, and unmistakably hostile. Odette crossed the gallery slowly. She didn't hurry. She didn't need to. The crowd parted for her instinctively, the way people move for someone who commands space without asking.
Alonso, I didn't realize you were bringing a guest.
Mother, I didn't know you were coming.
Sophia is a friend of the family. Of course I came. And you must be the young woman from the fundraiser. I'm afraid we weren't properly introduced. I'm Odette Royce, Alonso's mother.
Maria shook Odette's hand. The grip was firm, too firm, a test. Maria matched the pressure exactly, holding Odette's gaze without flinching.
Maria Faith, it's a pleasure to meet you, Mrs. Royce.
Miss Royce, actually. I kept my maiden name. Tell me, Maria Faith, what do you do?
The question seemed innocent. It wasn't. This was an interrogation disguised as small talk. Maria had prepared for this with Caesar, rehearsed answers, built a backstory that was vague enough to be unprovable, but specific enough to sound real.
I'm a consultant, strategy and communications. I recently relocated from Miami to explore opportunities in DC.
Consultant, how wonderfully vague. Which firm?
I'm independent, freelance. I work with clients who need discreet advisory services.
Discreet. How interesting. And how did you meet my son?
Mother, we met at the fundraiser. I told you about it.
I'm asking Maria, Alonso. I'm sure she can speak for herself.
Maria felt the trap. If she deferred to Alonso, Odette would see weakness. If she was too confident, Odette would see arrogance. She needed to thread the needle perfectly.
We met at the Watergate fundraiser. Alonso was kind enough to talk to someone who felt out of place in a room full of strangers. We discovered we both appreciate art more than politics. It was a pleasant surprise.
And your family, Maria Faith? Where are they?
There it was. The question Maria had been dreading. Caesar had told her to keep it simple. Dead father, distant mother, no siblings, no drama. But standing in front of Odette, Maria realized the woman already knew, or suspected. This wasn't a question. It was a test to see if Maria would lie.
My father passed when I was young. My mother and I are estranged. We haven't spoken in some time.
How unfortunate. Family is everything, don't you think? The bonds we're born with are the ones we can trust most.
The implication was clear. You come from nothing. You have no family. You cannot be trusted, and I'm watching you. Maria smiled. Small, polite, unfazed.
Sometimes the families we choose are stronger than the ones we're born into. I've been fortunate to meet people in DC who've made me feel welcome.
Maria has a wonderful eye for art. She understands Chen's work better than most of the collectors here.
How lovely. Alonso, we should discuss the board meeting on Tuesday. Meet me in my office Monday morning. 9 sharp.
Of course.
It was interesting meeting you, Maria Faith. I'm sure we'll be seeing more of each other. I make it a point to know everyone in my son's life. Thoroughly.
Maria watched Odette return to her position across the gallery. The older woman lifted her wine glass in a mock toast. A smile that wasn't a smile. A declaration of war wrapped in civility.
I'm sorry, she's protective.
It's fine. I understand. She loves you. She wants to make sure I'm good enough for you.
Are you okay? She can be intimidating.
I'm fine, really.
But Maria wasn't fine. Because in that 5-minute conversation, Odette Royce had made something perfectly clear. She knew Maria was a threat. She was investigating. And she would not stop until she destroyed her. Maria pulled out her phone and texted Caesar under the table. She knows something, or suspects. We need to accelerate. Alonso drove Maria back to the Watergate in silence. She could feel him processing the encounter with his mother, working up the courage to say something.
I should explain about my mother.
You don't have to.
I do. Because if we're going to keep seeing each other, you need to understand. She's been through a lot. My father left when I was 12, ran off with his secretary. Classic cliché. My mother built her company from almost nothing after that. She's brilliant, ruthless. And she doesn't trust anyone who gets close to me because she thinks everyone wants something.
Does she have a reason to think that?
Yes. Every girlfriend I've ever had lasted exactly as long as it took them to realize my mother controlled the money, not me. They wanted access to the fortune. When they realized I was just the heir, not the heiress, They left. My mother thinks you're the same, that you're using me to get to her, but I don't think that. I think you're different. You actually listen when I talk. You see me.
Maria stared out the window at Georgetown passing by. Expensive row houses, people walking dogs that cost more than most cars. A world built on generational wealth and connections and power. She should have felt guilty. Alonso was opening his heart to her, telling her his deepest insecurities, and all she could think about was how to use the information, how to exploit his loneliness, how to get closer despite Odette's interference. But guilt required caring about another person more than you cared about yourself. And Maria had spent 3 months systematically killing that part of herself.
I'm not using you, Alonso. I promise.
I believe you.
They sat in the car outside the Watergate for 5 minutes. Alonso talked about art, about the pieces he'd loved at the gallery, about dreams he'd given up and dreams he still harbored. Maria listened and nodded and made the right sounds at the right times. When he finally kissed her goodnight, it lasted longer than the first time, more urgent, more desperate, like he was trying to prove something to himself.
Good night, Alonso.
I'll call you tomorrow, maybe brunch.
I'd like that.
Maria watched Alonso's car disappear into DC traffic. Then she walked around the corner to where she'd parked her rental car and drove back to the motel. The performance was over. The mask could come off. She sat in the parking lot for 10 minutes, staring at nothing. Her phone buzzed. Caesar. Report. How bad was Odette? Maria typed. Bad. She's investigating. Might already know about Miami. What do we do? Caesar's response came 30 seconds later. Make Alonso fall harder, fast. Make him choose you over her. I'll handle the rest. Trust me. Trust me. Caesar said it like it was simple. Like trust was something you could just give away without consequences. Maria had trusted Caesar when he offered her this opportunity. She'd trusted that the money and power would fill the empty space where her conscience used to be. But sitting in a motel parking lot at 10 p.m., wearing a dress she'd rented and couldn't afford to buy, Maria realized something terrifying. She had no idea who she was anymore. She walked into the motel room, kicked off her heels, and stood in front of the mirror. The same mirror where she'd practiced smiles and rehearsed lines and built the persona of Maria Faith Accardi, consultant, woman of mystery, perfect girlfriend. She unzipped the dress and let it fall to the floor, removed the jewelry, wiped off the makeup, took down her hair, stripped away every layer of the performance until she was just a girl in underwear staring at a stranger. Her phone buzzed again. Another message from Rachel. Maria didn't even look at it. She couldn't, because if she read her mother's words, if she let herself remember who she used to be before Caesar and Alonso and this whole mess, she might break. And she was too close to getting everything she wanted to break now. Maria lay in the dark motel room and tried to sleep. But all she could see was Odette Royce's face, that cold, analytical stare, that absolute certainty that Maria was a threat. Odette was right. Maria was a threat. But what Odette didn't know yet was how far Maria was willing to go, how much she was willing to sacrifice, how thoroughly she'd burned every bridge back to the person she used to be. There was no going back. There was only forward. And if Odette Royce wanted a war, Maria would give her one.
Chen Investigations.
Marcus, it's Odette Royce. Tell me you have something.
I have everything. Maria Faith Accardi, 28, born in Miami. Father died when she was 4, raised by single mother Rachel Accardi, a tour guide.
Employment?
Nothing significant. Part-time jobs, restaurants, retail, no consulting business, no clients. The whole story is fabricated.
How is she affording DC?
That's where it gets interesting. 3 months ago, she sold an apartment in Miami for $315,000. The apartment was co-owned with her mother. Mother's name was on the original deed. Daughter sold it anyway. Mother filed a missing persons report 2 weeks later, then withdrew it.
So she stole from her own mother.
Technically legal. She was on the deed, but morally, yes, she stole.
What else?
She's been seen with Caesar Vidal. Multiple times. The fundraiser where she met your son, she was there with Caesar first. They had dinner 2 nights before that event. And she's texting him regularly.
Caesar Vidal. That explains everything. He's using her. She's a plant.
That's my assessment. She targets your son, gets close, gathers information. Caesar uses whatever she learns for his clients. It's an intelligence operation disguised as a romance.
Does Alonso know?
No evidence he knows anything. From everything I can see, he believes she's legitimate. He's falling for her hard.
Send me everything. Every document, every photo, every text message you can access. I want a complete file.
What are you going to do?
What I always do, Marcus. I'm going to eliminate the threat.
Marcus Chen sat in his office staring at the file he'd built on Maria Faith Accardi. Normally, he felt satisfaction when he closed a case. The pieces fitting together. The truth revealed. Justice served, or at least truth delivered. But this time he felt something different. Sympathy. Pity. He couldn't quite name it. He looked at Maria's Instagram photos again. The girl smiling at expensive restaurants, posing at luxury hotels, living a life she'd stolen. She looked happy, confident, free. She had no idea what was coming. That same evening, Rachel Accardi stood in Ivan's kitchen making pasta. Simple food, cheap ingredients. The kind of meal she'd made 1,000 times for Maria when they'd lived together in Miami. She hadn't heard from Maria in 4 days. The warning text had gone unanswered. The Instagram posts continued. Maria at yoga. Maria at brunch. Maria with Alonso at an art gallery. Rachel had stopped checking obsessively, stopped torturing herself with evidence of Maria's new life. But she couldn't stop thinking about her daughter. Couldn't stop wondering if the warning had mattered at all.
Smells good.
Just pasta, nothing fancy.
Have you heard from her?
No, I won't.
They ate dinner in comfortable silence. Ivan had learned not to push, not to ask questions Rachel couldn't answer. He just provided space, safety, a place where Rachel could exist without constantly thinking about Maria. But that night, after dinner, after Ivan had gone to his room, Rachel sat in the guest bedroom and did something she'd been avoiding. She searched for Odette Royce, read articles about her company, her reputation, her history of destroying competitors who crossed her. Then she searched for Caesar Vidal, found his connection to Odette's industry, the lobbying, the backroom deals, the networks of power. Rachel saw the web forming. Maria working with Caesar, Maria targeting Alonso, Odette protecting her son. A collision that could only end one way. And Rachel felt something she hadn't felt in weeks. Not anger, not betrayal, fear. Because Maria might be cruel, she might be selfish, she might have destroyed Rachel's life without remorse, but she was still Rachel's daughter, and Rachel could see the trap closing around her. Rachel called Maria's number. It went straight to voicemail. She tried again. Same result. One more time. Nothing.
Maria. It's Mom. I know you won't listen to this. I know you've made your choices. But I need you to hear me one more time. Odette Royce is not someone you can manipulate. Caesar Vidal is not someone you can trust. You're in over your head, and I don't think you realize how much danger you're in. Please, just call me back. Just once. Let me help you before it's too late.
The voicemail sent. Rachel didn't know if Maria would listen to it. She suspected she wouldn't, but at least she'd tried. At least when everything fell apart, and Rachel knew it would, she could tell herself she'd done everything possible to save her daughter. Even a daughter who didn't want to be saved. That night, 3 people fell asleep in different parts of Washington, D.C. Odette Royce slept soundly in her Georgetown mansion, the file on Maria Faith Accardi on her nightstand, plans already forming for how to eliminate this threat without breaking her son's heart too badly. Maria Faith slept fitfully in her motel room, Caesar's instructions echoing in her mind, Odette's cold stare haunting her dreams, the distance between who she was and who she'd become growing wider with every passing day. And Rachel Accardi didn't sleep at all. She lay in Ivan's guest room, staring at the ceiling, praying to a god she wasn't sure she believed in anymore, that her daughter would survive the war she'd started. Next time on Anything Goes, Odette makes her move. Caesar demands more. Maria faces an impossible choice. And Rachel does something she never thought she'd do. The game is about to change, and no one is prepared for what comes next.